What's up, guys? Stefan, S&E's Garage. Behind us, we have our 2013 Mustang GT. We're going to be servicing the coolant system today. So I went to the Ford dealership to pick up some Motorcraft orange coolant for this vehicle. That's what it's factory filled with. You'll see here, it's got orange coolant in it. The coolant that's in it, for all intents and purposes, and as far as I can tell, is original. I don't know if it's ever been replaced, but it is still the orange that is in there. So I went to the dealer to pick up a couple gallons of orange coolant, and they have informed me that it is discontinued and yellow is the new orange. I have a technical service bulletin from Ford Motorcraft directly. I'm going to go ahead and screenshot it in the video right now. If you go ahead and read that, it will tell you that this yellow coolant is a direct replacement for the orange. You can mix it, you can top off with this, and this is what they want us to use now. So that's what we're going to do. So what I went ahead and bought is I bought a concentrated bottle of yellow, and I bought 1 gallon of distilled water. It always makes more sense to buy concentrated because you're buying straight coolant. When you buy it pre-mixed, you're paying for a half a gallon of water. And it doesn't make sense. So this is what we did. Like I said, yellow concentrate, gallon of distilled water. You want to use distilled because there's no minerals in it. Those minerals can adversely affect the cooling system. They can create deposits, and they can basically render some of the corrosion inhibitors in the coolant useless. So don't do that. Don't use tap water, use distilled. To fill our cooling system, we are going to be utilizing our airlift. I love this thing. It completely and utterly eliminates air pockets in the cooling system. It completely eliminates the need to have to bleed or burp the cooling system. You fill it up with this. Basically, it puts the whole cooling system, the radiator, the engine block, the heater core under a vacuum, and then it basically sucks the coolant in. So you're basically eliminating any air voids or air pockets in the cooling system by using this. I will leave links to all of this stuff in the video description below. If you do go ahead and buy from those links, it does help the channel. We greatly appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get these quick jacks under the car. One rail on this side, one rail on this side. We're gonna get it up in the air. We're gonna find the coolant drain. I'm assuming we're probably gonna have to remove a belly pan or something under there, but let's get started. All right, guys, we're here under the front of the Mustang. Here she is. And Ford was nice enough to give us a little cutout here, right here, and that little yellow, green, clear, whatever you want to call it, yeah, it's clear, petcock there is how we are going to drain our radiator. So it looks like we need to get in there with an Allen key and then go ahead and loosen it to start our drain. So let me grab an Allen key, figure out what size it is, and we'll start draining it. All right, guys, we're draining from like 4 different places, but we're draining. It ended up being a 8mm Allen key. So I'll link one of them in the video description below. If you need one, buy it. Buy from that link, helps us out. So we're just gonna go ahead and let this drain, and then we'll use our airlift here to go ahead and fill it back up. So the next thing we're gonna do is pop off this hose clamp. Pop off this hose clamp, take those hoses off, and unbolt this. There is some nasty sludge in this degas bottle that I want to go ahead and clean out. So we're going to take that inside, clean it, and then reinstall it while we let this finish draining. All right, guys, so there's going to be one more large hose down at the bottom of this degas bottle that you're going to have to disconnect. It lives right about there. But you'll see in here, our bottle is now nice and clean and ready to accept some nice fresh coolant. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna reinstall this back in place. We're gonna reconnect the 3 hoses we removed, And then we are going to go underneath and tighten that 8mm Allen key radiator drain. And then we're going to go ahead and start filling it up. So one thing you can do if you want to get a little bit more coolant out of the system here, after you put your bottle back in, put your hand over the reservoir cap like this and use your other hand and spray some compressed air, which is basically what we did right here, into the system. And it's going to pressurize basically the system and push some of the coolant that's in the engine block through the lower hose and out the radiator. We probably got about another ½ gallon out of the system by doing that. We want to get as much of this orange coolant out before we switch to the green or the yellow. Even though it is backwards compatible, I want to do as full of a drain and fill as possible. So that's the way we did it. But we're just going to let this trickle and then fill it back up. Alright guys, we reinstalled our degas bottle, cleaned it all up. We went ahead and we closed our coolant drain. So now what we have here is an empty gallon jug. This is an empty milk jug that I thoroughly cleaned out. And we have our coolant right here. Here we have our distilled water. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is basically I'm going to mix this. I'm going to put a ½ gallon into here, a ½ gallon into here, and we'll end up with 2 gallons of coolant. So let's do one of these. Okay, open this up. Oh, Jesus. That was almost perfect. Right at the 2-quart mark. Okay. So now can go ahead take our distilled water here. I should probably go get a funnel because this is going to be a little bit harder. Okay. Just like that, we have 2 gallons of 50-50 mix that we can now go ahead and use to fill this Mustang up. So what I like to do now is I'll put the cap on it and I'll give it a nice shake, make sure we get it nice and mixed up. Okay, we'll do the same thing here with this one. Give it a good shimmy shake. And now we're gonna go ahead, get our airlift. We're gonna set it up. So setting the airlift up is extremely simple. It's going to come with several different adapters here that are going to fit in different radiators or different coolant degas bottle setups. So the one that we are going to be grabbing will fit directly into the degas bottle like so, okay? And then this will slide right in, and then you just tighten this down like so. And now that will not come out. And then you're going to use this adapter that I just went ahead and clicked in, and we're going to supply shop air to this, and it's going to create a vacuum, and that is going to allow us to fill the cooling system. Let me charge up the compressor. We'll be right back. So what you're going to see up here is basically a gauge, and we need that needle to get into the green. That is how we know there is enough vacuum in the system in order for us to switch to this little apparatus here to then suck the coolant into the engine. So let me set you back up here on the tripod, and then we will go ahead and supply shop air to this guy and put the cooling system under a vacuum. Now it might get a little loud in here, so be wary of that. Sorry if it does. Now you're gonna have a little exhaust pipe here from this device. You're just gonna go ahead, point that towards your coolant bucket that you drained your coolant into, because it is going to be spitting out a little bit of liquid. It's just the nature of the beast. So we're gonna go ahead, plug it in, and watch our needle. Once our needle is in the green, we can go ahead and shut this valve off, like so, disconnect the air, and pop this adapter off. Set this aside. Now we have this end in the clear gallon jug. I put it in the clear one on purpose so you can see exactly what happens here. And we're going to go ahead, make sure this is at the bottom. We're going to let it start drawing in the coolant. And you'll see the level of this drop rapidly as the cooling system is filled. Okay, now once we get to a point that this is empty, we'll shut the valve again. Okay. And now we will switch to this bottle. Like so. And allow it to draw in the rest. Like I said, this is going to completely eliminate any air bubbles in this system. All right, go ahead, disconnect our hoses here, because we are now full. Okay, we can go ahead, remove this, and check our coolant level. All right, guys, so using our airlift, or using your airlift, really, should get you within the perfect range for where this is supposed to be. So here is our full mark. We are right there. We don't have to touch it. So what you're gonna do now, you're just gonna go ahead, start your car, take it for a ride. If you used the airlift like we did, there is no need for the cooling system to be burped. It is already burped, there's no air in it. If you didn't use an airlift and you just filled this up, you're gonna take this cap off and you're gonna let the car idle until the cooling fans come on. Once the cooling fans come on and your upper and lower hoses are hot, you're good to go ahead, put your cap back on, take the car for a ride, and then check the coolant level when you're done. That being said, I hope this video was informative. It's kind of a shame that Ford discontinued the orange coolant. I usually don't like having to change colors of coolants because I have a feeling, I know I didn't get most of the coolant out of the engine block. I know there's still coolant in there. I have a feeling this is going to turn a kind of an ugly color, you know, once we start the car and run it. If it does, I'm going to do this drain and fill again. But you get the general idea of how to change the coolant in your Ford Mustang. Coyote V6, any Ford with this degas bottle, this process is going to be exactly the same. We now know that the Ford yellow coolant is backwards compatible with the orange and their specialty green. So if that's what your car was equipped with, this is what you have to use now. So I'll leave this coolant in the video description below. I'll leave the airlift in the video description below. And I'll leave some distilled water down there and the 8mm Allen key that we use. Like I said, if you buy from those links, it helps us out. We greatly appreciate it. So please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time.